Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Right. I'm here with the guys, and once again we're doing Disney Plus, right? Marvel Day, Disney Plus Marvel Day, and we're talking about Secret Invasion.
Marvel
Ah,
Day at the Fandom. They're going right at the Fandom.
I'm here once again with my boys, Cal Ellis and the Quiet Petey, the Selector. Okay,
Yeah,
uh, there's not really much to see here, but we can definitely speculate
we
on
did
what.
She-Hulk. Why can't we do this movie, this TV show?
Okay, I don't think there's more than 5 seconds, but let's rock it. Selector, play.
Yeah, you're right. Where's the invasion? We ain't seen no invasion.
Yeah, we saw two. It was.
With
I
his
told you.
Yeah, I
face?
think you saw Sam Jackson with looking all furry there, and that's it.
Yep, and that's basically it. So, hey, I'm glad they're finally doing Secret Invasions. I was hoping they would do it in the movies, but
Why?
why
Why are
not?
you glad that they're doing that?
Because they have to get the scrolls back to where they were as bad people. You know what I'm trying to say?
Who
They made
said
them.
they're going to turn them into bad people?
Huh?
They're already good guys. Why are they going to turn them into bad people? They're going to find some angst for them to turn bad now? They're the nice puppy dog aliens now. They're the nice guys.
Yeah,
But
how
they're
you
the
gonna sell the
scrolls. They're
you
the
you can't
scrolls.
you can't sell the plush toys if they're bad guys.
But they're scrolls, though. I
You
mean,
saw him
scrolls.
drinking the drink, right? He was drinking the Slurpee or something like that, or a soda. Just to show you he's a nice guy, even though he killed that person in the Area 51 or whatever it was. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Wait, wait, wait.
ultimately, I don't think that
Wait, hold on a second. I just got to stop it. Secret Invasions. Let's just make sure people understand. Secret Invasions is the scrolls coming in, taking over and taking over people because they can do their changing abilities, right? That's Secret
In the
Invasion. How
comic,
do you
in
how do
in
you
the
have
comic books,
right? But
in the comic books.
how do you have Secret Invasion without the scrolls trying to take over? I think we miss a big point
because
there.
these scrolls don't want to take nothing over unless it's some sort of other part of the scrolls. Like the thing is like this. I think there was it the War to End All Scrolls where they introduced not a scroll that was no, they had one guy that was revolutionary in the scrolls. And you know what they did to him? They
No,
locked him up, tossed him in they said the only thing scrolls hate worse is another scroll. Like, like that's someone of the
there's
bits. Like,
millions of scrolls.
they're that bad, but in this show they're not bad. So you're gonna have to have a separate faction that are like, hey, we're gonna take over. We've been slipping into American society. When it's like, yeah, I would love that, but I don't trust them to do that. I trust them to make some. We've been hiding out because the Kree have been coming, and the invasion of the Kree is going to come now. So we've been hiding out as humans all this time. And some of your favorite heroes are now that sort of thing. The ones we want to fix.
I just
That's
don't.
what Bendis did.
And look, the whole logo is green, so it says Secret Invasion. So who else is green but the scrolls? I'm sorry, I'm missing something here. But
You're right, but at the same time, they got a big. They made them nice when she just should have been kicking Scroll behind the whole movie. But they had him kicking Kree behind just to
Well,
have this release
because
her
they
as a
had that
female for her full strength, that sort of thing.
no, because they had that agenda going. So they had to check those boxes, and unfortunately, instead of the Kree and the Skull being what they were from the comics, it was like, oh, we got to have a good, bad, oppressed, oppressor, and all this other type of nonsense, and then she can come over here like she's some freedom fighter. So they ruined it along those lines. So I don't know what they're going to do with Secret Invasion here, but Secret Invasion in the comics was a hot mess. So I don't see this being too much different, especially since you already have the premise that it was set up on is pretty much not there.
I'm looking at something called TV Line where they're giving a brief synopsis
Oh
of
God, they're gonna
what it
ruin it.
is, and they're
What is
saying,
it? Ruin it.
no, you're right. You just said it. You called it. You said there's a sect that says there's a sect of the Kree. I mean, of the scrolls who are basically changing people up. So, Probably that's it. You know?
No, brothers, we're free now. The humans are helping us. Brothers, no. I would never trust a human. Back and forth. Dialogue. Cut end scene.
The only good human is a dead human. Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I mean they can't. I mean they didn't have to put. They just try to give a surprise when it's no fun. The fun part of the scrolls, which would be different, even though the Kree had been bad, the scrolls really enjoy being bad. You know, that was the thing. And then the trick of the scroll story is saying what you would love. The first story is the X-Men show up and everyone's just blinded, like, oh sweat, the X-Men are finally here, and you're like, oh fuck, they're scrolls. I mean, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did it this. Like, how if you bought the first issue of the Fantastic Four, right? And you're like, wow, this was cool. You buy the second one, they're bad guys for the first 3 pages. Are like, what happened? Like, they did a mystery without you knowing it's a mystery. There's no way to know until you get to like page 5 that these guys, besides you say they're fighting the Skrulls, you don't know that's a great way to open a book. And that's one of the best sort of Skrull stories, the one you don't expect the person to be a Skrull. So as they go along, you start to see this sort of thing. So
I'd like to see that, if only for the satisfaction of seeing a whole bunch of these nerds just getting psyched out.
Yeah, that's the.
Look, I told you the X-Men. I told you that. Psych.
The thing we got to remember, just to bring it back to the viewers, is that the thing is that Earth is in a universe where there are 2 powerful competing empires. You know, there are others, but we're just focusing on the Kree and the Skrull, and neither one is necessarily good.
That's not the Marvel universe in the films though. That's the comics. Okay, we have no idea what we've only seen the Kree one time. Okay, and we do see them. They're getting their ass handed to them by Captain Marvel. So we don't know who the big players are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now the comics, yes. And when they decided to make the Skrulls puppy dogs, then we don't get the Kree Skrull War like we should have. That could have been a really big epic in terms of these films. Instead, we're gonna come over here and these guys are gonna be like, oh yeah, don't worry, Nick Fury, I'm gonna sit in for you while you come over here and do some nonsense out in space. So that's what we got at the end of the day. Sorry to cut you off.
It's depressing me, bro. That's all I gotta say. I thought this was gonna be a big star battle, bringing in probably Captain Marvel. But you know what? Probably you're right. You know, judging by what we've already gotten from these guys, it may not be. Well, we got to see more. That's all I got to say. But this show is an opportunity to bring in a lot of the second tier Avengers to come into it. Well, you know what? You're right. I don't know what they're doing. So, and they're not saying much. But what can you do?
Yeah, do they know what they're doing?
Man, you guys busted my bubble, bro. I can't talk to you two, man.
But I mean, did you read Secret Invasion?
Yeah, I read Secret Invasion.
And you liked it?
It wasn't bad. I just thought the whole concept of them taking over, being people, I mean, makes so much sense. Like, wow, of course, that's a basic idea. They're coming over and trying to take over the world that way. You know, the one thing I didn't know I didn't know
that's what they did.
Yeah, they've done it a bunch of times.
When we first meet them, that's what they're doing. We see them in Fantastic Four #2, and the Fantastic Four are like, what? And if you just read that story, you realize why these guys are so problematic, because you just don't know who's a Skrull unless you kill this person. You know, they can, once they've assumed the identity, you know, 2 of them are there. Well, which one is which one? It's complete. You know, I think then later on they have to have like the Skrull detectors, you know, and even then they found ways to beat that. It just became really problematic to have to deal with them because their ability to assume someone else's identity was so complete in terms of the visual.
Well, I think one of the things I think in Skrull, the Secret Invasion, they tried to show that Wolverine couldn't figure it out till he killed him, but he figured it out before in the Death of Phoenix. So it's kind of
that's Bendis.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, the one of the hooks is like that second issue. The FF are heroes are kind of they're a mystery, but the next thing you know, they're wanted. They're like he took out the top. There's no other heroes. Just them, and now the army's after them, and the Skrulls get to take over the world at the same time. Like they have those 4 that come are just the first sect to come. The rest of the armada is gonna come later. So it's just like they set up, take out the Fantastic Four, now send the rest, and FF is able to stop it. So it's like, and then there's other couple of other stories. I mean, obviously, as you said, the Kree Skrull War, they have someone, and you don't know it till the end. It's staring right at you that one of these guys is the guy that's been going against the heroes is a Skrull, but it's just like, nah, you're so into the story, you're like, oh, wait a second, that guy that's complaining. I should have figured that part out, but really getting that sort of thing against the humans, and you know, I don't know.
Yeah, Bendis totally jacked the whole premise because, well, this, I don't know, his disrespect for continuity is to the point. If I wrote some of these stories, I would have been fired. Okay, I would have been fired at the end of the day. But he brought in his own, and you know they vibe with whatever scat he decided to throw between a cover. But his thing was that literally you had heroes coming off a ship, and he was like, "Oh, these guys have been missing all of these years, and everybody we've seen for all this time have been Skrulls." You're like, wait a second, how far back does that go? And he's just over there with that smile that I like to show Petey from time to time. Hey, are we having fun? Are we having fun now? Are we having fun, kids? And it was just like, I was like, no, we're not having fun. Where does it start? And the thing is, they went over there and savaged, was it Dan Slott? Who was on the clones, that Clone Saga with Spider-Man?
Yeah. No, not the first. You talking about the second one or the first one?
The first one.
Oh, that's that's the team. That's that's Howard Mackie, DeFalco.
They savaged those guys over that storyline, and rightfully so. Because if you were into Spider, you were like, wait a second, you're telling me I've been reading the last 10 years and this is not the real guy? It was just totally, it was a totally contemptuous move for your readership. Now, Bendis does it. It's the same thing. And everybody, oh yeah, such magnificent thoughts, the color, the tapestry, the majesty of the, I was like, no, this is scat.
What is with Bendis, bro? What is the hate, bro? You know, the one thing about the story I thought at least you would say is that this story brings together many elements that we haven't seen. You have the Avengers coming in. You have the X-Men. You have the Fantastic Four. This would be a fantastic vehicle to bring in those characters that we haven't seen, right? This is one of the benefits of it. Yes, Bendis brought a story that the characters, some of these leading characters were studied.
You want me to do this again, huh?
Oh my Lord of God!
They're not using any of these books. These books, they're not using them. None of them. So keep going. They're just coming up with whatever they want. They go in Hollywood.
I just can't talk to you guys, bro. I literally can't talk to you guys. I see no open-mindedness. And I got to remind you guys, our resumes are in. And so you guys need to
screw the resumes.
Well, I don't want to go that far.
Thank you.
Okay. No screw the. Okay. We can couch it a little bit, but I agree. They're not using these books. What Bendis wrote was scat. And we should just be willing to accept that whatever's coming down is probably not going to, this apple's not going to fall too far from the tree. Okay. But, hey, everybody always asks when they ask you in the interview, what's one weakness that you have? If I have one weakness, it's letting Bendis get away with scat. What can I say?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, like, there is some, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to do. If they're going to have another faction of Skrulls, instead of giving, well, I guess it's a smaller title, going to Secret Invasion. But then it's the war to end all Skrulls is out there. I mean, they got stuff they could pull from, they don't have to go as far as the entire history, because some stuff, Kirby kind of borrowed from like Star Trek. But, ultimately there's stuff that's established that's there would be cool to see with the Skrulls, and having them be, mean and nasty and that sort of thing would be fun. These nice guy Skrulls, they should almost be turncoats and be like, you guys are the worst. Because there've been a couple, there's been like this one who was trying to, there's one in the Avengers annual that Roger Stern wrote that they don't even tell you what he did, but he's locked up, and he was trying to, like kind of bring them together, and they had him like so he couldn't change into anything. And then there's, I think in the Lost Generation, there's one who is stuck on Earth and he becomes like a politician. He has some kind of dark ways, but he like sides with his group, But then like he runs into Skrulls, like, all right, I'm gonna get home. And the next thing he goes home and then he's with the he's with the Skrulls, like, oh, was it Velmax? Oh, you survived, that's great. And then he said, wait a second, who are those? Wait a second. He said, you've been hiding among the heroes, but you joined the superhero team? Like, why would like that reaction of them saying like really being bothered with one's the couple. There only been like two that have gone like sort of good outside of what is it, Elijah, the Human Torch's ex-wife, that have been like been on the side of good. So I don't know. I think I don't like giving money to Bendis at any point, and they got stuff they can pull from. They like, but they go no. Someone said they go to the most recent stuff. That's what they normally do. So that's the biggest thing most recently. Why would they go? Hey, this story sold well. No, the other stories probably sold more than Secret Invasion back in the day.
Well, these guys don't know the comics. They don't know the comics, so they're going to these guys over here, and they're like, "Oh, what should we do? Hey, do this stuff over here. It's recent, it's more contemporary. I wrote it. Yeah." They don't want to go back. None of these guys are going to go back to the Silver Age stuff and like, oh, okay, let's pour over this. They're trusting whoever it is that these guys have as whatever liaison. So who should we use? Use these characters over here. Okay, use this character. Yeah, use this storyline. They haven't read this stuff. If they came to us and said, hey, what should we do? We're like, oh, Kree Skull War.
Yeah.
Okay, Kree Skull War. Oh, well, do we have to use all those characters? We want to get the Fantastic Four? Yeah, sure. Here's how you do it. Okay, we'd have no problem doing that. These guys are more like, well, yeah, use these characters over here, and since I happen to create them, I get my 4%.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you did Jessica Jones. Let's get the Jessica Jones guys. Does he have a Skrull story? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He's a surefire hit, that Jessica Jones guy, and he gave us our Luke Cage too. He's the guy. He did Daredevil too. Like, he's the guy who made Daredevil famous. He made him famous. He made Daredevil famous. Bendis is the man. Like,
this is not a Bendis story. We were talking about Secret Invasion.
The Secret War, Secret Invasion is a Bendis story. Why wouldn't we talk about him?
I'm talking about outside of that. That's what I'm trying to say. This is not meant to be anti-Bendis. Okay. Do we like Bendis?
It's his. No, there's no. You saying he doesn't even work for Marvel right now? Why do you have to worry about him when he doesn't even work for Marvel? Because Kevin Feige kicked all of the Marvel. They don't talk to the Marvel people anymore. They just use the same stories they were planning on because that was the plan. That's the most recent thing. But they don't have to worry about he don't talk to the comic book office anymore. He's the guy, remember? So we can trash Bendis all we want. Okay, I guess we want to close out, don't you?
Yeah, he doesn't want us to trash Bendis any longer. And mind you, this is not trashing Bendis. This is just being critical of the stuff. No, it's not.
It's definitely Bendis has done a lot of
no. This is not trashing Bendis. Okay, if it was trashing, it'd be a lot worse. But this is being critical of his storylines. Okay, that didn't hold water or weren't up to par. I've already stated when he's done some good stuff or stuff that I like, I have had no problem saying, okay, yeah, this was good. I thought this was a good turn. Unfortunately, with a lot of his stuff, it's just far in between. And the biggest criticism I've always had of him, he does not respect continuity. He respects his own continuity, but no one else's. And but what can I say? The readership went along with it because they didn't want to be bothered with continuity either.
He's known for some of the biggest selling series in Marvel. Okay.
I was going to change. You said selling, right? I thought it might have sounded a little different. The biggest.
That was good.
Miles Morales, his Daredevil run. What else? He did Spider-Man. I think it was which Spider-Man? Was it the Amazing? No.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, right.
Which I liked. I did like his Ultimate Spider-Man, but I said, what's the anomaly with this? It's his own character. It starts from his own beginnings, and so he's able to do everything his way. That's where he's at. And then, of course, the stuff he does with Miles Morales. But when it comes to respecting other people's continuity, stuff that's been established for decades, whatever.
The problem he has is he's writing something similar to how Eric Larson would write, right?
Oh God!
I don't think so, bro.
He knows that he's in the comic book, so the 2 seconds he's in there, it's like, hey, let's keep having these. They're not standing on their own, because like when he did the Ultimate Spider-Man, it was all about the pacing, and then he slowly started to bring in all the other stuff. Now it was as Cal said, it was a totally different character. All the Spider-Man characters with all the women, all those characters that were like the really strongest characterization in comics were totally rewritten in his style. But then you had Miles Morales, and you think with the track record of saying you had 100 issues or so of that, you get better as a writer. He decided, nope, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to introduce Miles Morales and connect him to Shield in 2 seconds. Like it's like, oh, and now he's a superhero. We gotta train him. He's gotta have some training. It's like I just saw the Spider-Man. I think it's the book you reviewed.
You don't need training when you have superpowers.
You need training. You always need training. You need a team to train.
You gotta have the ninja training. Come on, no. And then that's the thing. When you see Spider-Man can never get hit. When he runs into Miles Morales is kicking him in the face. He's like disabling with his shock and this, that, and the other. Spider-Man's not supposed to be touched. Miles Morales is not Venom. He's not Venom. The powers aren't supposed to work where he can get around Spider. Like everyone's like, no, it's okay. It's because we want to show you how cool Miles Morales is. But anyway, it's like I would. If
they want to see Miles Morales kick Spider-Man's ass. And so as long as as long as that's happening, these guys like, yeah, look, see, he's taking it to him. But that's Marvel's own fault, because that's Marvel going back to to like the early Silver Age, having, hey, look, I was able to push the Hulk or something. It's like you gave these guys that nonsense back then, which I never agree with. Don't do that nonsense. Don't come over here and try to give them that fan service where, hey, look at your character, and then what do we get? It's like turnabout, because you had that situation with Spider-Man and the Hulk. Later on, you got him beating down Fire-Lord. Then you got him punching the Hulk into space because they decided to give him the Captain Universe power. And then you got this nonsense with Miles Morales. I was like, it's history repeating itself. It's not supposed to be happening. They're not supposed to be fighting each other in the first place.
Well, that you described it. No, he described it better than me saying Eric Larson, because it's basically doing the fan service, doing everything and say, well, he just became a superhero. Doesn't he need some kind of training or this, that, and the other? And it's just like, stop shaking your head. The spider powers, and then it also makes them different instead of this, like, which was cool when as a kid I didn't sit around there wondering why Steel Serpent and Iron Fist are able to dodge Spider-Man's punches and toss them around. I was just like, well, they got they have something that's different than him, and their way their powers work is the way their skill level works is different. It's like no, if that happens, we got to get him into turn into a ninja. It's like how long does it take, like to actually become basically you turn in Marvel Comics, you get this training and then you're basically Captain America. Like, how does that happen?
3 issues. 3 issues. Wolverine has been alive for over 100 years to be the best at what he does. Miles Morales, 3 issues of SHIELD training. 3 issues.
And don't forget they retcon.
No, when you have someone, that's the thing. When you have someone like Wolverine or Superman, like the difference of those type of characters been around a long time. As you go along, you start adding stuff to it. You can't because that's one thing someone's arguing about the Mary Sue, and they go to, oh, well, what about this character? What about Batman? What about like this? And like, no, you have a character that's been around a long time. You're gonna start to add stuff to it as it goes. Same with Wolverine. I can complain about Wolverine all the time, but at the same time, there's at least time where they're just like, oh, okay, it's getting hot. People are adding more and more stuff to it. When you start on day 1 and then on day 2, you're already kicking Spider-Man's behind. Nah, it's not. Give us some time. Give them, like when you got the Spider-Man picking up the building, it's like a bunch of issues, before you got there.
I agree with you guys. I'm not disagreeing with that, but he does have in the video game more powers. He can shoot the Venom blast. He has the invisibility or camouflage powers, something that the current Spider-Man doesn't have. And Bendis, brought that
against Spider-Man. Spider-Man fought the Sinister. Spider-Man fought the entire Sinister Six by himself.
I'm not denying
okay,
that.
all of the
all at the
No,
same
he
time.
didn't. He didn't fight them
And
at
this
the same
and this
time. He
Mia
didn't fight
fight was
them at
gonna
the
come
same
over here
time.
to get the Spider.
No, he defeated the X-Men. I'm with
No,
you
no,
guys
not
on this. He defeated
no,
the
no,
X-Men.
not those early issues. Not those early issues where he fought them one at a time. Eventually, later on, he did face off against the whole group because they realized, hey, he keeps fighting us one at a time. Let's just go after this dude. So he did do that. I think the
The
only
one
but
where he
the
got
Green
killed,
Goblin,
almost got
only
killed.
caveat that I ever had is that the Green Goblin was never on the squad.
There's
look,
also the story that
but he still-
Larkin
but he
did,
still
which I was
took-
okay.
he still
with
took
the-
him at the end
Secret
of the
Wars, he beat him. He beat him if it wasn't for Professor X. All right, we know the Spidey senses does this stuff. All right, what it does. But look, guys, I think we can agree to disagree whether or not
No, we're not agreeing to disagree.
No.
We're not agreeing to disagree. Not happening. Not
that
happening.
Peter Parker has is clearly far more in battle with all these guys. So I'm not disagreeing with it. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. Over time, you can change things. But let's.
Well, no, that's the thing. That's the thing. If we look at it, we go to what's the name? I had to say I didn't know that Eric Larson was going to go left because the Return of Sinister Six, they almost killed him, and he had to call in the problem with the story is he had to call in all of the Marvel universe to take out the. So that's the bad part of the story. It was a decent story where it's like, yeah, you put these 6 guys together, he shouldn't come out of it alive. And then next thing you know, he said, well, I'll just call Ring, I'll call the rest of the heroes, hey, it's everybody, but it's that sort of like continuity type comic thing where you're just like, well, ultimately, shouldn't he just call the other heroes? And it's just like, you should keep it insular. You shouldn't always have to do, hey, well, where's Galactus here? Where are the Avengers? Like, no, okay, we understand there's one comic here and there's another comic there. They shouldn't have to always meet. And that's where you get to the, having everything to be Secret Wars is not cool. You gotta do your separate stories and say, oh, the other guy was out of town, because it don't make any sense to keep doing stories where, oh yeah, I was almost died, but then Spider-Man came in and took the villain away. Yes. Anyway, see, what's the name? Secret Invasion. That's when we were talking about trash. Don't know if this is going to be, but they have a big hurdles to climb. They have big hurdles to climb because they made them the cuddly and lovable Skrulls, and when they had these guys that should have been like the worst things on the planet. But
Hey, Spinner Rack out, and me and the Bendis haters. Spinner Rack.
love to hate them. No, that means that you sort of like, so just hate them. Sorry. Spinner Rack out.